Joining us now with immediate reaction, we say hello to Bill Reiter after we take a look here at the box score, 119-115. Again, your final. Jason Tatum was fantastic as well, 39 points. Brown, 23. James Harden, again, 45 points, a massive three late in the fourth quarter to propel the Sixers in Game 1. For immediate reaction, we say hello to Bill Reiter, CBS NBA insider. Bill, I don't know what it is. Every time we get together, crazy things happen. This crazy thing is James Harden going for 45 in Game 1. The Sixers take the 1-0 series lead without Embiid. Your prevailing thought here is what? Because I know he had one idea in mind, and it flips the script with about a minute left in this game.
Look, I know it's not a conference finals, right? And James Harden's made one finals with the Thunder back when he mostly came off the bench. But my first thought, Joe, is this might be the best postseason performance we've ever seen from James Harden. Debate about whether or not he's good. Is he still extraordinary? Can he be in the postseason? There's no Joel Embiid, a Celtics team that are heavy favorites to be NBA champions, let alone come out of this series. And he single-handedly puts his team on his back, including that three at the end, that ice-blooded shot to what would eventually win the game. It's the James Harden game. And I got to tell you, Joe, a lot of things I did not expect in this evening. Certainly, that is the top of the list.
17 of 30, and here a 4-point win for the Sixers, who were dominated on the offensive glass. Defensively, at times, looked lost. And here they take Game 1. Big picture, Bill. We can get back to Harden here in a second, but what does this do to the series? Boston, obviously, still the more complete team, even when you do add Joel Embiid. But this Game 1... on the road, going the way of the Sixers, does it give you pause when you do look a couple weeks down the road?
So I don't want to darken the glow that Sixers fans deservedly are basking in right now, Joe. Incredible performance, incredible game. It is a long series. They are always long series. I know the details are a little different, but the most recent example is the Warriors went down 2-0 against the Kings in their opening round matchup. But we know that teams that eventually advance deep in the playoffs, that win championships, understand these are long series and their battles. It is a huge victory for Philly. It certainly says they can compete with the Boston Celtics in this series hopefully it's if Joel Embiid can come back at some point and be healthy. Either way, let's say Embiid misses Game 2. We don't know. It's an open-ended question. Either way, they're going to go back home, at least worst case scenario, at 1-1. But Boston's a top 3 offense, they're a top 3 defense. They've been here before. They were in the finals last year. I think Tatum's an absolute superstar. Their defensive effort was lackluster. And there's a weakness this year, Joe. It would be they sometimes play with their food a little bit. So yes, it's a boost to Philly, but it's still a very, very long series.
Bill, 13-5, these Sixers this season, including this win, without the services of number 21, the big fella who's likely to be crowned an MVP here in less than 24 hours. What looks different to you when Embiid is not out there? Not to suggest that this team is more efficient or effective without the big fella, but what do they do differently?
It's a reminder of the depth they have, and the depth they have that can actually become the primary or secondary scoring option. The offense can flow through those guys. James Harden's the main example of that. And on this night, look, I think he did have 5 assists because we saw the graphic. But there are a lot of nights over the course of the year where his goal will be to have 10, 12, 13 assists and really be the secondary scorer, if that. The offense flowed through him. He obviously put up 45 points. Tobias Harris is a guy who we know can get buckets. He obviously can be dangerous offensively, but he sometimes, I think, gets lost a little bit in the game plan for Philly because they don't always need him to be that guy. On nights like this, he can step up. So I think it's just a reminder, Joe, of the depth of this team, but maybe foremost, that James Harden, when he has to be, when it's his job, when he's the guy that the offense has to operate through, and I mean in terms of actual scoring, he can still do that. He can still be that player. Maybe not over 82 games, but you noted, 13-5 over 18 games, or a game here or there in the playoffs when Embiid can't play.
The Met Gala night here, the fashionable one, James Harden making it a runway of his own here in Boston. Going on the Celtics here for a moment, you shoot almost 59% from the field. You get 62 points, from your top 2 scorers. You out-rebound your opponent by 10. I mean, what needs to change when you look back at this film other than the final minute of play?
Yeah, I'll give you, other than the final minute of play, I'll give you 2 things. Defensive effort and sort of freak plays or luck going the other way. I did think, Joe, they were lackadaisical at stretches. defensively, which is not something the Celtics tend to be. They are a great defensive team. And let me just point you to two plays. One is Malcolm Brogdon at the end of the shot clock, just passing the ball to Tyrese Maxey. At the end of the game, that really kind of turns the game on its head. It gives Philly a lead. Boston would reclaim it, but it gave Philly some momentum and the opportunity for Harden to hit that shot. And then with about 2.5 minutes left, there was a huge play where actually the officials, the refs, had two different calls. Was it a blocking or was it a charge call? And that would have fouled Tyrese Maxey out of the game if it had been a charge. Instead, it went against Boston. Again, went against Marcus Smart by a matter of inches, him not getting set. So you noted how they dominated in a lot of ways. They were in this game. I don't think they played defense particularly impressively moment to moment. And they had a huge blunder of their own that was a debacle and literally a play that was inches that I think would have swung the game at the 2.5 minute mark. So I think in a lot of ways they do what they've done. They go back to what they were doing. They throw in some more defensive effort. And I think, Joe, they're probably going to be okay.
I know Kyrie's not on the squad anymore, but you might need to get out one of those sage sticks. The last couple of nights here at the Boston Garden have not gone the way of the home city. Final thought here. When we do inject Joel Embiid back into this series, what does the Sixers team look like and how much of an emotional advantage could that be if he is injected into Game 2?
Yeah, if he is healthy and if he can be healthy for the remainder of the series, I think it makes this series, I don't want to say a coin flip because I still think Boston's markedly better and you have to look long term. But Embiid, and you noted this, Joe, he's probably going to be named the MVP in the next 24 hours, I think, is where we are. Those level of guys, and Joel Embiid in particular, on his own offensively, can win you 2 games in a series. That would get Philly to 3. He is a defensive force, and you're right, he's a rising tide just in terms of belief for the guys that play with him. So if Embiid comes back, it becomes an absolute battle for this Boston team because they know as a unit, Philly's more dangerous, and they obviously just won this game without him. And even as an individual, Embiid has the rare talent. There's maybe 8 guys in this league who can do this, who can win you 2 or 3 games on his own in a series if he really goes to the places we know that he can.
We don't yet know what it means in the long term, but Game 1 here goes to Philly, and the big fella could be back in not too long. Bill Reiter, what a time. All right, taking a look at the upcoming schedules. Game 2 coming on Wednesday, again in Boston. Embiid, his availability the next couple days will tell a whole bunch. But worst case scenario, we are headed back to Philly on Friday, 1-1, possibly 2-0 Sixers. Got ourselves a series, folks.